The boss caught the poor cleaning lady breastfeeding his son and took an unexpected action. The baby's wail cut through the big house's quiet like a loud alarm. For 3 hours, the sound had not stopped bouncing through stone halls and going up dark wood stairs. Lorena Nunez cleaned the same spot on the floor for the 4th time. She was 24. Her hands rough from hard work, and a worried feeling in her chest grew stronger with each passing minute. That crying was waking up something very deep inside her. "This small boy will hurt himself from all that crying," she whispered, trying to focus on her cleaning. Upstairs in the baby's room, Miguel lay in his small bed. He was a 2-month-old baby, his face red and puffy from tears. His lips were dry and cracked, and he made soft sucking movements with his tiny mouth looking for something he couldn't find. The bottle next to the bed had a bad smell. It had gone off in the afternoon heat. Adriana Silva, the 28-year-old nanny hired through a costly company, had left at 6 p.m. She said she was going to the pharmacy for special milk, but she was really going to the mall to meet friends. For her, this job was just a simple way to get good money without much effort. Downstairs, Gabriel Ferraz was shut in his office. At 32, he had dark marks below his eyes that not even the world's best coffee could hide. His video call with the Japanese clients had already lasted 2 hours, and he acted like he didn't hear his son crying. "Mr. Ferraz, do you agree to the money deal?" a voice from the computer asked. "Of course you can trust us," Gabriel answered without thinking, looking at a photo of Helena on his desk. Miguel's cries got softer, almost too quiet. Lorena couldn't stand it any longer. She let go of her cloth and hurried upstairs, her heart beating fast. "Please don't let anything bad have happened," she whispered on the stairs. When she opened the baby's room door, she took a quick, deep breath. Miguel had almost no energy left in his crib, his skin very warm, his small eyes partly shut. He made tiny mouth moves as if looking for food. "Oh my God!" Lorena hurried and lifted the baby into her arms. He was hot, wet, and very much needing water. "It's okay, little one. Auntie is here." She smelled the bottle and made a disgusted face. It had totally spoiled. Miguel kept his sucking movements in her arms, really needing food. It was at this moment that something strong broke out inside Lorena. She had lost her own baby 6 weeks ago and was still making milk. Seeing Miguel like this going through what her son had gone through in his final moments was too hard to bear. Without planning, without counting the cost, she sat in the armchair and offered her breast to the very hungry baby. Miguel stopped crying at once. He drank with the power of someone who was super hungry and finally found help. There, that's better," Lorena whispered, feeling a calm she had not felt in weeks. Downstairs, Gabriel at last finished the meeting. "Folks, we'll finish this tomorrow, okay?" He hung up and for the first time saw it was quiet. The crying had stopped. Feeling worried, he went up to look at Miguel. He opened the door slowly and stopped moving. Lorena was in the armchair by the window, feeding Miguel at her breast like it was totally normal. The gentle afternoon sun shone through the curtain, and the two seemed completely calm. Gabriel stood there, couldn't understand what he saw. "What in the world is happening here?" Lorena almost sprang up from the armchair. She quickly hid her breast and held Miguel gently, her eyes wide. "Sir, I'm sorry, I can tell you why." Gabriel took a few steps forward, puzzled and annoyed. "Tell me why. What, are you crazy?" "Sir, he was really ill," Lorena said quickly, her words rushing out. "He'd been crying for hours. The nanny was gone. The bottle was bad. But that doesn't mean you can—" Gabriel stopped in the middle of talking. He looked at his son and saw something he hadn't seen in weeks. Miguel was sleeping quietly, breathing softly with a calm look on his face. Gabriel had never seen his son like this. Since he was born, Miguel had always been moving a lot, crying a lot hard to calm down. And now he was sleeping like an angel. "How is he so quiet?" Lorena dried her eyes with the back of her hand. "He was very, very hungry, sir. The bottle smelled bad. It was all lumpy. There was nothing else to give him." Gabriel slowly came closer, watching his son. It was the first time Miguel seemed truly relaxed since birth. But where do you have—" He couldn't end what he was asking. The quiet became strong. Lorena lowered her head, her voice almost gone. "I lost my son 6 weeks ago." Gabriel felt as if he'd been hit hard in the gut. He knew that pain. It was the same one he felt every day since Helena died. "I still have milk, but I don't have a baby anymore." Lorena continued, tears running down her face. "When I saw Miguel hurting so much, I couldn't just allow it." Gabriel looked at Miguel sleeping in her arms. The baby appeared to have found something that even he could not offer his own son. The anger he felt mixed with an odd thankfulness. She had saved Miguel, but at the same time the situation was tricky. "Go home, Lorena," he said tiredly. "We'll discuss this in full tomorrow." Lorena gently gave Miguel to him like giving something truly dear. "Just don't let him go too long without eating again. Okay?" She left the room shaking a little, knowing she had done something that would lead to problems. But when she looked back and saw Gabriel holding his son, who was finally sleeping calmly, she felt no sorrow. Gabriel remained alone in the room watching Miguel sleep in his arms. For a few minutes the pain of losing Helena became a bit smaller. Now what am I going to do? It was 10 p.m. Adriana at last showed up at the big house carrying costly shopping bags. The tale about special milk had been a lie from the beginning. She had spent the day using her pay on clothes and then went to the movies with her boyfriend. For Adriana, taking care of Miguel was just a job that paid well. She felt no love for the baby. She only saw him as a way to live in a rich home without working hard. She found Gabriel in the office, busy at his computer. Miguel was sleeping in his small bed, something she hadn't witnessed for ages. My goodness, what a wonder! He stopped crying. Gabriel looked up, still thinking about what had occurred that afternoon. Lorena took care of him today. "Oh, that's good," Adriana replied, but something in Gabriel's tone made her feel cautious. During the night, Miguel woke up only once, took his bottle without complaint, and quickly went back to sleep. For Adriana, who was used to awful nights, this was almost a miracle. The next morning, while Gabriel was showering, she went to the kitchen to ask Donna Celia questions. "Celia, did Lorena do anything different yesterday?" Donna Celia, who was 55 and had a very kind heart, didn't guess anything. "Poor dear, she was quite distressed yesterday, stayed for a while in the baby's room." "Why distressed?" "Well, dear, the poor thing lost her baby recently, and her husband even left her because of it." Adriana felt a sharp feeling of envy. If Gabriel was starting to like Lorena, she could lose the highest-paying job she'd ever had. Her husband left her, said she was weak, that she didn't know how to manage her time with child well. How terrible, right? The girl was already in pain. Adriana started to plot in her head. She saw a chance to remove the rival. "Celia, can I tell you something, but don't tell anyone, okay?" "Of course, dear." Adriana bent near, making a worried look. "Yesterday I saw Lorena doing something a little odd." "What was it?" "She was feeding Miguel at her breast." Donna Celia's eyes got big. "What do you mean from her own breast? I saw it. But does she still have milk?" "Yes, and she's behaving like she's his mother. Yesterday she stayed for hours just watching him sleep." Donna Celia didn't know what to think. Maybe she just wanted to help. Celia, a woman who loses a child, she gets a bit, right? She can become overly focused. Adriana put the first idea and hurried to share the rumors. She picked up the phone and called Marcia Betancourt, the most gossipy person in the neighborhood. "Marcia, I need to tell you something about Gabriel." "Hi, honey, what's new?" "That maid of his, I think she's trying to use the problem for her gain." "What do you mean?" "She lost a baby, and now she's totally fixed on Miguel. Yesterday I saw her feeding him at her breast." Marcia nearly let the phone fall. "I don't believe it. Do you mean it?" "I think she's trying to charm Gabriel to join his family." "How bold. Poor Gabriel, hasn't he been through enough pain losing Helena?" "That's what I think. Someone has to tell him before it becomes a big mess." "I'll handle it. I'll talk to the girls. That person taking advantage won't win." When Gabriel came down to eat morning meal, he found Miguel smiling. It was the first time he'd seen his son like that, moving his legs and making joyful sounds when Lorena passed in the hallway. Gabriel felt touched. He really liked her. But soon the phone would start ringing and Lorena's life would become a very bad time. Gabriel watched Miguel in his tall baby seat at breakfast. The baby was totally changed, smiling, waving his hands, making joyful noises every time Lorena appeared. "Good morning, sir," she said hello to him a bit strangely. "Good morning," Gabriel replied, but his voice seemed odd. He used the whole breakfast watching the two of them. Miguel wouldn't leave Lorena. Every time she moved away, he would get upset. When she returned, he would smile and stretch out his tiny arms. "That boy is truly fond of you," Gabriel commented, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, he's a bit overly close, all right," Lorena replied, kissing Miguel's forehead. Gabriel felt a sharp pain in his heart. He had never been able to get his son to smile like that. Then the phone rang. It was 11 a.m. "Hello, dear Gabriel, how are you?" It was Marcia Beitencourt's overly sweet voice. "I'm good, Marcia. What's up?" "Listen, we're concerned for you. There have been some talks." Gabriel felt a squeezed feeling in his heart. "What talks?" "About an employee who is, how can I put it, becoming too close." "Marcia, what are you talking about?" "Gabriel, a woman who loses a child becomes very upset. She can start an extreme focus on other children." Gabriel looked at Lorena in the hallway and felt a sudden feeling of uncertainty. Extreme focus. Helena must be hurting in paradise seeing this happen in her house. Gabriel hung up annoyed, but the idea was now set. An hour later, the phone rang again. It was Donna Carmen, Helena's mother. "Gabriel, son, you must be watchful." "Donna Carmen, are you okay?" "I am, but I'm concerned for you. I heard there's a helper making problems there." "Problems, Gabriel? You're easily hurt. It's easy for a person using chances to gain from the situation." "How did you hear about this?" "Everyone's talking, son. You need to act before it turns into a public shame." Third call, at 4 p.m. Teresa, Helena's closest friend. "Gabriel, this cannot continue." "What cannot continue?" "This problem with the maid. Helena would be very upset." Gabriel started to feel pushed. He watched Lorena playing with Miguel, who was much more joyful. But he's doing so well with her. At that moment, Adriana appeared beside him. "Sir, Lorena asked to stay longer today." "Why?" She said Miguel needs her to sleep well. Adriana paused a planned action. "I thought it was a little odd." "Odd how?" "She's not his mother, is she?" "But sometimes she acts like she is." Gabriel was deeply conflicted. On one hand, he saw that Miguel had never been so good. On the other, everyone was telling him he was being tricked. He remembered how he lost Helena. He believed everyone never doubted a thing, and yet she passed away because of poor doctor care at the hospital. Am I being foolish once more? The phone rang one more time. Gabriel looked at the number and knew Marcia. This time he answered. "Gabriel, have you considered what we talked about?" "Marcia, why?" "Son, you cannot allow this to go on for Miguel's good." Gabriel looked at Lorena, who was singing gently while putting away the baby's things. Miguel smiled every time he heard her voice, but the stress was getting too much. "Okay, Marcia, I'll handle it." When he hung up, Gabriel knew what he had to do, even if it hurt, even if Miguel stopped smiling. Tomorrow morning, he would have to let Lorena go from her job. Gabriel didn't sleep at all night. The neighbor's words kept repeating in his mind like a broken song. Early in the morning, the phone had already called 3 times. "Gabriel, have you decided what you're going to do?" Marcia asked, with the voice of someone who already knew what he would say. "Son, don't let this become public shame," Donna Carmen advised. "For Helena's remembrance, you must do something," Teresa concluded. When Gabriel came down for breakfast, his heart nearly stopped beating. Lorena was sitting on the living room floor playing hide-and-seek with Miguel. The baby was laughing lightly, a sound Gabriel hadn't heard in a very long time. "Found you." Lorena gently touched Miguel's belly, and he shrieked with joy. Gabriel stood watching from the entrance. His son had never looked so joyful, never laughed like that, never had such a look of complete happiness. "Good morning, sir." Lorena said hello to him, lifting Miguel. "Good morning," Gabriel replied, but his voice sounded forced. He used the whole morning meal watching the two of them. Miguel wouldn't move from Lorena. Every time she moved away, he would complain. When she came back, he would smile and stretch out his small arms. "That boy is truly connected to you," Gabriel commented, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, he's a bit too close, all right," Lorena replied, kissing Miguel's forehead. Gabriel felt a sharp ache in his heart. He had never been able to get his son to grin like that. But then the phone called over and over and over. Each call left Gabriel more stressed, more puzzled. The people he respected, who worked with him, who had known Helena, all telling the same story. By noon, Gabriel chose something that would cause him great pain. "Lorena, I need to speak with you in the office." His voice became totally different, turning harsh, far off, and proper. Lorena at once felt that something was amiss. In the office, Gabriel stood behind his desk like it was a wall between them. Lorena sat on the front of the seat, her heart already beating fast. "Sir, did I do something wrong?" Gabriel couldn't face her straight. "Lorena, about yesterday, what happened with Miguel?" "If I did something bad, please pardon me. I only wanted to help." "It's not about being right or wrong." Gabriel paused, passing a hand through his hair. "Folks are gossiping." "Gossiping about what?" Gabriel breathed in deeply. Every word that came out of his mouth felt like eating sharp bits. "That you're using my problem for your gain, that you lost your son and now you're trying to take mine." Lorena's face turned very pale. "Sir, that's not true. I would never—" "You fed him at your breast, Lorena, without permission, without caring what others would think. But he was truly ill. There was no one else." Gabriel stood up, walking back and forth. He was struggling inside, but the stress was too much. "People think you're trying to charm me, that you wish to take my family. That's not true. You know it's not true." "I know." Gabriel stopped and looked at her. "You lost your baby 6 weeks ago. Then you suddenly appear here behaving like Miguel's mother. I work here, I do my job, and you use hours watching him sleep. You sing to him, play with him as though he was your own son." Lorena stood up very upset. "Because he likes me, because he's happy when I'm around. That's the problem, Lorena. He's becoming too close to you. This is wrong." Gabriel stopped walking back and forth. The truth was, it wasn't wrong, not wrong at all, but he couldn't say that. "You're let go." The quiet that came next was so strong it seemed to pull the air from the room. "Sir, please don't do this. It's final. And don't expect a good word from me. Sir, I plead with you, I have no place to go." Gabriel turned his back to her. He couldn't see the sadness in Lorena's eyes. "Get your things and leave. At least let me say goodbye to Miguel. It's better if you just go now." Lorena walked out of the office unsteadily. Donna Celia saw her in the kitchen crying and collecting her small items. "Girl, what happened?" "He let me go," Donna Celia said. "I was using the problem for my gain." "That's crazy. You saved that baby." "It doesn't matter anymore. I have to go." Outside it had started to rain, a strong rain, the type that makes you soaking wet quickly. Lorena looked out the window and saw the storm, but she had no other option. Gabriel watched her from his office window. She walked slowly in the rain, a plastic bag in her hand, her clothes clinging to her wet body. For a moment, Gabriel almost ran after her. The image of Lorena alone in the rain was making him very sad, but then the phone rang. "Gabriel, I heard you did the right thing. It was best for Miguel," Marcia said. Gabriel hung up and watched Lorena turn the corner, vanishing in the rain. Upstairs, Miguel began to cry. The first door Lorena tapped on was at the house next to Gabriel's big home. The maid didn't even allow her to end her words. "No open jobs here." At the second house, the house head at least heard. "I have skill in cleaning, cooking, looking after kids. Do you have people who can speak for you?" "Yes, from my last job." The woman phoned right before Lorena. "Hello, Mr. Gabriel. It's about a Lorena who worked there." Gabriel looked at the ringing phone and did not pick up. Sorry, dear, he didn't pick up. Without a good word, I cannot take the chance. At the third, fourth, and fifth houses, the same thing happened again. Always the same question. Do you have a good word from your last boss? By the end of the first day, Lorena still had hope. On the second day, hopelessness started to settle in. On the third day, her cash was gone. Donna Maria, just give me 1 more week I can pay. The owner of the little room moved her head side to side. Lorena, you already owe 2 months. The landlord is pushing me hard. Just a few more days, please. I can't, honey. It's about money, you know. Lorena left the very small room carrying a shopping bag. All her things in the world fit in that single bag. Her first night on the street was a fear she had not pictured. She slept on a public seat with a newspaper as a cover. The cold went deep into her body, and she couldn't shut her eyes because of fright. On the second night, 3 men came near her as she tried to rest under a shelter. Hey, pretty thing alone, want some company, we can help you. Lorena ran and stayed hidden behind a church until morning came. It was on the third night that she met Seu João, a 60-year-old man with white hair who had been street living for 10 years. First time sleeping outside, right? How do you know? Experience. You still look like you belong in a home. Seu João pointed to a bridge overhead. Come stay with us. It's more secure. Under the bridge overhead was a group of 5 people, each with their old boxes, their small items, their sad tales. Folks, this is Lorena. She needs some help. Welcome to the group, said Donna Rosa, an old woman who lost her house when her son got hooked and sold all things. Seu João taught Lorena the ways to stay alive. Where to get food, where the safety guards would not trouble them, how to keep herself safe. The important thing is not to lose your self-respect, daughter. We're on the street, but we're still people. But as the days passed, Lorena started to change. Her clothes became unclean, ripped her hair messy. She became thin fast because finding food was a fight each day. The worst part was that her body still made milk. Every morning she woke with painful, puffy breasts, a reminder that she had food for a baby who was no longer with her. Miguel, is he okay? Is he eating well enough? During the day, while picking up cans to trade, Lorena always thought about the baby. If he still smiled, if he played, if he searched for her. My little one, Mommy, hasn't forgotten you. After 2 weeks on the street, when Lorena looked at herself in a store glass, she didn't know the person in the mirror, skinny, unclean, with big dark rings below her eyes. Some days she spoke to herself, recalling playing with Miguel. The self-respect Seu João spoke of was becoming tougher and tougher to keep. The big house had become a war zone. Miguel had started crying without end from the moment Lorena left the house. On the first night without her, Gabriel didn't get any sleep. Miguel cried almost all night, only stopping in the early morning from total tiredness. What is it, son? Daddy's here. Gabriel tried to calm him, but Miguel pushed away his hug. The baby would not take his bottle, wouldn't play with toys, and was restless constantly. When he finally fell asleep, he would wake up minutes later crying. Adriana acted like she was trying to aid. It must be a period, sir. Babies do that. But Gabriel saw that she didn't care at all. In fact, she looked at ease. After 3 days of little sleep, Gabriel got a quick help babysitter. Sonia arrived very sure of herself. Leave it to me, Mr. Gabriel, 2 decades of looking after babies. 2 hours later, she was very tired. My God, I've never seen such a restless child. Miguel would not be held, would not take the bottle, would not accept anything she gave. He cried with a strength that pained their ears. Gabriel got a second nanny. Carla, an expert in new babies, tried a new way of trying. Mr. Gabriel, this child is going through some kind of deep shock. Deep shock, babies make very strong feelings of closeness. When they lose those ties, they hurt. But what tie? His mother passed away during birth. Was there any certain person who looked after him? Someone he saw every day. Gabriel almost mentioned Lorena but held back the words. No, no one special. The third nanny was Marcia, the most costly and skilled in the city. "Sir, in 25 years in this profession, I've never seen a case like this." Miguel was clearly getting thinner. He hardly drank milk, slept little, and was always annoyed. Gabriel was without hope. The baby doctor, Dr. Santos, checked Miguel and grew worried. "Mr. Gabriel, physically he's fine, but something is really upsetting this child. Doctor, he won't stop crying. Babies show deep shock this way. He's pushing away care, pushing away new ties. What can I do? Has there been any big change in his daily life recently?" Gabriel paused. "Well, we changed nannies, that's all. And we fired a worker who sometimes aided with him." Dr. Santos wrote down, "This worker spent much time with the child." "She did. A little, Mr. Gabriel. Babies are easily affected. If this person made a strong connection with your son—" Gabriel didn't allow the doctor to end. "Doctor, what matters is that he gets better." But inside, an awful uncertainty was increasing. Evenings had turned into a bad dream. Gabriel moved around the house like someone half dead, trying to calm Miguel, who cried without stopping. Donna Celia tried to help, but Gabriel didn't want to listen. "Mr. Gabriel, since Lorena left—" "I don't want to know." "But sir, the boy is totally different." "Celia, don't join in this." After another week of great trouble, Dr. Santos spoke plainly. "Mr. Gabriel, I'm going to have to put the child in the hospital. Hospitalize. He's losing water, getting thinner in a risky way. He needs care at the hospital." Gabriel looked at Miguel, skinny and weak in his arms, and felt a fright he hadn't known since Helena died. "Doctor, can he die?" "We'll do everything possible, but children can also grow weaker for feelings-based reasons." When Gabriel arrived home after taking Miguel to the hospital, the big house was oddly quiet. For the first time in weeks, there was no baby wailing bouncing through the halls. And in that quiet, he at last told himself he may have made the greatest error of his life. Gabriel could hardly work with Miguel in the hospital. He went to the hospital 3 times a day, but Miguel stayed uncaring, refusing his bottle and losing weight. "Mr. Gabriel, the child needs a powerful feeling spark," Dr. Santos said. "Something to wake up his desire to live." Gabriel left the hospital directly for home, trying to find an answer. That's when he saw a nearby person on the path waiting for him. "Gabriel, it's good to see you." It was Dona Marta, who lived 3 houses down, a woman Gabriel had always admired. "Hi, Dona Marta." "Gabriel, I need to tell you something. It's about that young woman who worked at your house." Gabriel grew stiff. "Lorena?" "Yes." "Look, I saw her yesterday, city center." "Where did you see her?" "Near the bus station. She was, how do I say it, asking for money." Gabriel felt dizzy. Asking for money. "She was extremely skinny, unclean. I hardly knew her. How upsetting, isn't it?" Gabriel entered the house shocked. Lorena, who had saved Miguel, was on the street asking for money because of him. It was in this puzzled mind that he went upstairs to fetch some items from Miguel's room. That's when he heard voices in the backyard. "This one's costly, from another country, priced near 100 Reyes." Gabriel came near the window and saw a scene that made him completely surprised. Adriana was trading Miguel's drugs to an unknown man. He ran down the stairs and went straight to the garden. "Adriana, what in the world are you doing outside?" She nearly let the box of medicine fall. "Oh, sir, you scared me." "Are you trading Miguel's drugs?" The buyer unaware. Gabriel was, the dad agreed. "She always trades costly baby drugs here, selling it again at a drugstore." Gabriel burst out in anger. "How long have you been doing this, sir?" "I can tell you why." Adriana got scared. "It's because my mother is ill." "Adriana, where were you when Miguel was crying alone?" "I was looking after him." "That's not true. You vanished and left him by himself." Under stress, Adriana tried to put the fault on another. "Sir, if that cleaning woman hadn't gotten in the way—" "Gotten in the way how?" Adriana understood she had spoken too freely, but Gabriel wasn't going to drop it. "Tell me Adriana gotten in the way how—" She talked fast. I invented that she was using the situation. Adriana started crying. I lied about her. Gabriel stayed quiet for a long time. You lied? I was jealous. She took better care of Miguel than I did. Adriana. Gabriel came closer, his voice very quiet and strong. Did Lorena do any harm to Miguel? No. She saved him that day. He was quite sick with a strong fever. He might have passed away. He might have. If she hadn't helped, he would have passed away. Gabriel felt as if he'd been hit hard in the gut. And you invented that she was using the situation. I was scared of losing my work. She was a better nanny than me. Get out of my house, sir. Get out of my house now. Gabriel stood alone in the garden after sending Adriana away. The truth about her lie pressed on his heart like a huge rock. She lost her own son and still saved mine, he thought, looking at his own hands. And I kicked her out on the street like garbage. He went inside and called Donna Celia. Celia, do you know where Lorena might be? Mr. Gabriel, I tried all the people she knew. Nobody knows anything. What about family? She doesn't have anyone, sir. Her parents died. No brothers or sisters. Her former husband, that bad person, he's the one who kicked her out on the street. Gabriel hung up and felt the burden of the problem. Lorena was missing in the city with nobody to aid her. At the hospital, Dr. Santos was more and more concerned about Miguel. Mr. Gabriel, the child, isn't getting better with any care. His body is fine, but he's getting weaker. Doctor, is there anything special that might aid? Mr. Gabriel, I'll speak plainly. Children can pass away from sorrow. He needs something to spark his wish to live. Gabriel understood clearly what that thing was. He had always known. Doctor, if I bring a certain person, if it's someone the child has a close connection to, it could help. Gabriel exited the hospital with a task: find Lorena before time ran out. But where to start in a city of 12 million people? He decided to begin with the clear spots. He went back to her former home. The building was being torn down. Mister, the girl who lived here vanished about 3 weeks past, the doorman said. She left with a plastic bag and never came back. Gabriel went to job places, state hospitals, police offices, nothing. On the second day, he made his search bigger. Safe places, old folks' homes, churches that gave out food. A new young woman, brown hair, just lost her work. Boy, a lot of people come through here, a volunteer replied. Do you have a picture of her? Gabriel understood he had no single picture of Lorena. She had served in his home for months, and he had never snapped a photo. On the third day, without hope, Gabriel did something he never pictured. He went to spots where people without homes stayed. Please, do you know a young woman named Lorena? The answer was always the same doubt. Who wants to know? Are you the police? Are you running away from home? Gabriel realized he needed to alter his way. On the fourth day, he was very tired. He had slept badly for 3 nights in a row. He had eaten small amounts and had a longer beard. That's when he received a sudden phone call. Gabriel, it's Sylvia from the building on the corner. Hi, Sylvia. Weren't you searching for an old worker? A young woman? Gabriel's heart beat fast. I was. Did you see her? There was a girl here yesterday tapping on doors, skinny, a little unclean, seeking a job. Where? What time? Around 2. But Gabriel, she seemed very unwell. Unwell how? Seeming ill and I don't know, a little mixed up. Gabriel wrote down the address and hurried away. When he arrived at Sylvia's building, he moved around the place for 2 hours. Nothing. Huge anger filled him. He was trying to find something tiny in a huge pile. At the hospital, Miguel got worse each day. Dr. Santos spoke plainly. Mr. Gabriel, if there's no getting better in the next 2 days, we'll have to take strong steps. What steps? Food given by force, entry to intensive care unit. It's the final hope. Gabriel left the hospital knowing that time was finishing. A week had passed since Gabriel started looking for Lorena. He had even paid a private investigator. Mr. Gabriel, locating a person without a home is very hard, the detective explained. They travel much, always shifting places. But is there anything we can do? I'll share her picture in safe places. Doctors' offices, churches. If anyone sees her, they'll call me." Gabriel gave him an old photo of Lorena that he found in the big house's camera setup. Meanwhile, Miguel got weaker in the hospital. In 1 week, he became thinner and hardly responded to touches. Gabriel split his time between hospital trips and street searches. He was turning into a skinny shadow with dark rings below his eyes fixed on the search. Donna Celia called him concerned. "Mr. Gabriel, you must eat food, take a break." "I can't stop Celia. Miguel is fading away." "And what if Lorena doesn't want to come back after everything she's been through?" Gabriel stopped to think about this for the first time. What if Lorena dislikes him strongly? And what if she no longer wants anything to do with Miguel? "She will," he answered, trying to make himself believe. "She loves that boy." On the 8th day of his search, Gabriel got a call from the investigator. "Mr. Gabriel, I have some news. A welfare helper in the city center knew the picture." "Where did she see her?" "At a doctor's office in the main part, a young woman with bad cold signs." "When?" "3 days ago." "But sir, the details weren't quite right. The woman looked much unlike the picture." Gabriel hurried to the doctor's office. "Doctor, did you help a young woman named Lorena in the past few days?" The doctor looked at the files. "We had a person without papers, signs of early lung illness. How was she?" "Very weak, bad, lack of food. We were able to give her drugs and advice, but she left." "Where to?" "We don't know. She said she had no place to live." Gabriel left the clinic with a clear hint, but also with more concern. Lorena was ill. He spent the next 2 days searching the middle area, checking in drugstores, bread shops, any place she might have gone. On the 10th day, when Gabriel was already giving up hope, he received a phone call that altered all. "Hello? Are you Gabriel who's searching for Lorena?" "I am. Who is this?" "João from the street people. I heard you were looking for her." Gabriel's heart beat fast. "Do you know where she is?" "Maybe. But first I want to know why you're looking for her." "Because I made the greatest error of my life and I must correct it." "What error?" Gabriel took a deep breath. "I trusted a falsehood and kicked her out onto the road. Now the child she rescued is fading in the hospital." Quiet on the other side of the call. "João, are you there?" "I am, man. You truly did something wrong." "I know. That's why I need to find her. She's unwell, very ill." "Where?" "Beneath the bridge on Radio Lest. But if you harm her once more—" "I won't. I promise." Gabriel wrote down the address and hurried away. Under the Radio Lest bridge, Gabriel found a group of people living under the cement frame. Plastic shelters, worn beds, a makeshift fire. João, an old man with white hair, came closer. "Are you Gabriel?" "I am. Where is she?" João pointed to a tent in the corner. "But she's had a strong fever for 2 days." Gabriel came near the tent and found Lorena resting on a worn bed, wrapped in unclean covers. She was impossible to know. Her hair was messy, her face red from fever, and she had become so thin she seemed like another person. "Lorena." She slowly opened her eyes, not clear. It took her a while to know Gabriel. "Gabriel, you're here." Her voice was a rough, soft sound. "I came to fetch you. Miguel needs you." "Miguel." Her eyes got wet with tears. "How is he doing?" "Quite ill. He's been in the hospital for 2 weeks." Lorena tried to sit up, but lacked the power. "Is he ill?" "He is. The doctors say it's deep sadness. He will not eat, will not sleep, only cries." "Why? Why are you telling me this?" Gabriel bent down next to the bed. "Because I learned Adriana was false about all things." "False? She invented that you were using the problem because she was envious." Lorena closed her eyes. "And you believed it." "I did, and I nearly caused my son's death because of it." "Gabriel." Lorena tried to speak but began to cough very hard. João came closer. "Boy, she has lung illness. She must go to the hospital." "Lorena, let's go to the hospital. You and Miguel need care." "No." Lorena moved her head gently side to side. I can't. I can't face this once more. Please, Miguel might pass away if you don't aid." and you'll kick me out onto the road again when people grumble." Gabriel looked into her eyes. "Never once more, I swear." "Just words." Lorena coughed again. "You already promised before Gabriel. If you don't come with me, you might pass away here, and Miguel could die in the hospital." João stepped in. "Girl, you require medical help. You can't stay like this." Lorena was too feeble to fight. "Okay, but only for Miguel." Gabriel took her gently to the car. In the back seat, Lorena spoke softly. "Gabriel, I'm not returning for you, just for the child." "I know, and that's all that is important." On the way to the hospital, Gabriel phoned Dr. Santos. "Doctor, I'm coming with the person who can aid Miguel, but she's ill. Bring her directly to the urgent care." At the hospital, a doctor group checked Lorena at once. "Lung infection, bad lack of food-water loss," Dr. Santos found. "We'll take her in for care." "Doctor, can she see Miguel?" "Only after we manage the sickness. We cannot risk the child." Lorena stayed in the hospital for 3 days, getting infection fighters and liquid in her veins. Gabriel divided his time between her space and Miguel's. On the 3rd day, when Lorena's temperature dropped, Dr. Santos allowed the meeting, but only for 15 minutes. Both were still feeble. Gabriel took Lorena to Miguel's room in a rolling chair. When she saw the skinny, light-skinned baby in the hospital bed, she cried, "Oh dear, what went wrong with him?" Miguel was sleeping, but when he heard Lorena's voice, he gently opened his small eyes. For a moment he was puzzled, then he knew her. For the first time in weeks, Miguel offered a faint grin. "Hi, my love," Lorena whispered, stretching out to feel his small hand. Miguel made a gentle noise, the first joyful sound in a long time. "Can I try to give him his bottle?" Lorena asked. Dr. Santos paused. "You can try, but with care." Lorena lifted Miguel from the rolling chair. He was not as heavy as she thought, more delicate. When she gave him the bottle, he gazed at her before taking it. "Slowly, my boy, no rush." Miguel drank little by little, stopping to gaze at Lorena's face like to check she was truly there. Gabriel watched from the entrance, touched. "He was waiting for you." "He's so skinny," Lorena answered, concerned. Dr. Santos wrote things down. "I'll send both of you home tomorrow if you continue like this." When the doctor left, Gabriel came closer. "Lorena, I know I don't earn it, but I need to seek your pardon." "Gabriel, not now. But I need to say it. You rescued my son 2 times. I did it for Miguel, not for you. I know, but I want you to know that I've understood my mistake." Lorena did not answer, kept singing gently to Miguel. "Lorena," Gabriel urged, "what is it? Will you return home with us?" "I will, but only for him." She gazed straight into Gabriel's eyes. "And don't hope for me to believe you once more." "I don't hope it. I just want a chance to show that I'm different." "Gabriel, pay close mind to what I will speak." Lorena stopped singing. "If you shame me once more, if you kick me out onto the road again, I'll vanish with this child and you'll never find us again." Gabriel gulped. "I understand. I'll look after Miguel, but you'll have to gain my belief once more, from 0. "Okay." Lorena started singing gently again. Miguel slept quietly in her arms for the first time in weeks. Gabriel sat in the chair beside them and watched the two. He knew he had much effort in front of him. Getting back Lorena's belief would not be simple, but at least Miguel was living, and that was a beginning. Gabriel took Lorena and Miguel back to the house after a week in the hospital. The big home seemed changed, more hollow with an odd quiet. Donna Celia showed up at the front door full of feeling. "Girl, it's nice to have you return. How are you?" "Better," Donna Celia. "Bit by bit, but getting better." And little Miguel. "Eating well, getting heavier once more." Gabriel took Lorena's bags and halted before the back room where she used to live. "Lorena, I've readied a different room for you, the spare room with its own washroom." "Why, what was wrong with the other one?" "Nothing, but this one's bigger. It has air conditioning." Lorena looked at him with a firm look. "Gabriel, I didn't come back here to be handled like a queen. I came back for Miguel. I know, but no buts. I want things plain from the beginning. Gabriel held back his answer and took her things to the room she had always used. In the first few days, Lorena gave herself fully to Miguel. The baby slowly got better, it grinned again, but still complained when she left. With Gabriel, talks were few. Good morning. She'd greet him at breakfast. Good morning. How was the night? Normal. Miguel slept well. Yes. Gabriel tried to speak more, but Lorena always answered with just a few words. Donna Celia, who knew them both well, saw the unease. Girl, Mr. Gabriel is aiming to be kind to you. I know, Donna Celia, but he's going to need much calmness. He did a great error, but at least he's working to mend it. Trying is easy. Believing once more is tough. A week later, Gabriel paid a personal baby doctor to watch Miguel at home. Gabriel, you don't need to do that, Lorena complained. The state doctor is looking after him well. But with a private doctor, it's easier. Easier for whom? It was the public health system that saved me when you kicked me onto the road. Gabriel had no reply. He knew he earned the sharp remark. That's when the first phone calls from nearby people began to arrive. Gabriel, it's Marcia. I heard that girl is back in your home. She is Marcia. But son, do you think that's wise after all that occurred? Marcia, I learned she never did anything bad. What do you mean? Adriana, she was false about all. Lorena simply rescued my son. Quiet on the other side of the call. Well, if you're sure. Gabriel realized he would meet much criticism from now on, but this time he would not yield to the stress. That night, as she was making Miguel sleep, Lorena saw Gabriel looking from the entrance. What is it? Nothing. He looks so calm with you. Gabriel, we must speak. About what? About what you hope to occur here. Gabriel sat in the armchair in the room. What do you mean? You brought me back because you learned Adriana was false. But so what? What do you want from me? I want you to look after Miguel. That's all? Yeah, I guess so. Lorena gazed hard at him. Gabriel, I'm not a plaything you use and leave whenever you wish. If you alter your thoughts once more, if someone comes and speaks ill of me, I won't change my mind. How can I be certain of that? Gabriel had no reply. How could he promise anything after ruining her belief? You can't be certain, he said frankly. You can only hope that I gain from my error. Yeah, and hope I don't have to face that once more. The talk ended there, but the point had been made. 2 weeks later, the word of Lorena's coming back had gone all over the rich area. The responses were mixed. On Wednesday, Gabriel got a call he had looked for. 3 neighbors showed up at the door, Marcia, Teresa, and Carmen. Gabriel, we came to talk to you, Marcia stated. I can guess about what. They entered and sat in the main room, all with serious looks. Gabriel, we've been your friends for years, Teresa began, and as friends we're concerned. Concerned about what, Teresa? About this problem. You brought that woman back. That woman's name is Lorena, and she came back because my son needs her. Carmen interrupted. Gabriel, don't you think you might be mixing thankfulness with different matters? What different matters? Well, you've been a man whose wife died recently. She is not old. Gabriel felt his anger grow. You think I took Lorena back due to love feelings? It would not be odd, Marcia said. A single man, a nice woman looking after the home. Listen carefully. Gabriel stood up. Lorena came back because I found out that you made me believe a lie about her. The 3 gave each other uneasy looks. What lie? Teresa asked. Adriana invented it all. Lorena never used anything for her gain. She rescued my son. Gabriel, Marcia tried to debate. Even if she's guilt-free, folks will gossip. Let them gossip. You can't disregard what people think. Yes, I can. I found out your thoughts nearly caused my son's death. At that moment, Lorena came down the steps with Miguel held close. The neighbors grew quiet, observing. Miguel was clearly healthier than before, with pink cheeks grinning, moving his small legs in her lap. "Excuse me," Lorena said, walking through the main room toward the cooking area, acting like she didn't see the guests. "Gabriel," Marcia spoke softly when Lorena left. "She seems different." "Different how?" "More sure of herself. Before she would drop her head when she walked past us. Because before you made her feel less worthy." Teresa moved her head side to side. "Gabriel, you've changed a lot." "I've changed for the better." "And what if she controls you once more?" "She never controlled me. You're the ones who controlled me." The three left the house clearly annoyed, speaking softly to each other on the sidewalk. "He's totally fooled. That woman obtained just what she desired. Poor Helena, she must be hurting in paradise." But Gabriel no longer minded. For the first time since Helena died, he was acting on what he felt was correct. That same day, he got a sudden phone call. "Gabriel, it's Marcos." Gabriel needed a moment to recall who Marcos was, Lorena's former husband. "That's right. Can I come over and talk to you?" "About what?" "About Lorena. I have some things to tell you about her." Gabriel became wary. "What kind of things?" "Face to face is better. Can I come today?" "No. If you want to talk to me, it's here on the phone." "Marcos, whatever you wish, I'm not keen." "Dude, she tricked you, just like she tricked me." Gabriel ended the call. 30 minutes later, Marcos called again. "Gabriel, just listen to me for 5 minutes." "No?" "She lost our baby because she took drugs while expecting." Gabriel stopped cold. "What did you say?" "Drugs, man. That's why the baby died. Didn't she tell you?" "You're lying. I have the doctor's papers. I can show you." Gabriel ended the call, but he was troubled. Had Lorena kept a secret about her baby's death? That night, when Miguel was sleeping, he chose to ask, "Lorena, can I ask you a question?" "What question?" "About your baby. How did it happen?" "Gabriel, why do you want to know that?" "Just wondering." Lorena gazed at him hard. "Did someone tell you something?" Gabriel paused. "Marcos called here today." "And what did he say?" "That you took drugs while expecting." Lorena's face got red from rage. "And you believed him?" "I mean, I'm unsure. That's why I'm asking." "Gabriel, my baby died because the doctor took 3 hours to do the cut for birth. It's in the doctor's notes." "So Marcos lied." "He lied like he always did." "Why would he lie?" "Because he learned I'm living in a big home and he wishes to use it for his gain." Gabriel felt silly. "I'm sorry, I ought not to have trusted him." "Gabriel, if you're going to question me each time someone creates a tale, I won't. It was just a moment of, I don't know, lack of strength." "Yes, lack of strength." Lorena moved her head side to side, let down. "Gabriel, you must choose. Either you believe me or you don't. You cannot be in between." "I trust you, so quit hearing rumors." Gabriel promised, but Lorena felt he still had questions. Belief would take more time to come back than she had imagined. 2 weeks after the event with Marcos, Gabriel took a choice. He couldn't bear the rumors, the judging stares, the hints any longer. He sat at his computer and penned a lengthy message on Facebook. "I want to tell a story about how unfair views nearly caused my son's death. 3 months ago, I let go of my worker Lorena Nunez because I trusted falsehoods about her. Lorena had lost her own child during birth and was still making mother's milk. When my son Miguel got sick and was left by himself, she fed him at her breast, rescuing his life. Some people told me she was using the problem for her gain. I trusted these folks without asking. I harshly let go of Lorena without a good word, knowing she had no kin or cash. Lorena spent weeks living on the streets. She got sick, nearly passing away from lung illness. Meanwhile, my son grew weaker in the hospital, refusing food and getting thinner in a risky way. I later learned that the nanny Adriana Silva had invented all out of envy and ignored Miguel while selling his drugs. I hurried to find Lorena and found her ill beneath a bridge. At the hospital, right when she held Miguel, he began to grin once more. Lorena Nunez is a brave person. She lost her own kid and rescued mine. I nearly caused my baby's death by hearing rumors. If you know Lorena, handle her with the honor she has earned." Gabriel put out the message at 9 a.m. In 2 hours it had 500 shares. In 6 hours it went over 5,000. The remarks burst out. "What an amazing woman. That's a mom's deep care." "Gabriel, you did a great error, but at least you admitted it and mended it. That Adriana should face court. I want to meet this Lorena and give her a hug." But bad remarks also showed up. Gabriel is being controlled once more. Wealthy men always get tricked by smart women. This story is too perfectly told. I'm doubtful. A nearby TV station phoned Gabriel. "Mr. Gabriel, would you be happy to do a talk about this story? Only if Lorena wants to join in." Gabriel talked to Lorena. "Do you want to speak on TV? Share your part of the tale?" "Why?" "To show who you really are, make your name clean." Lorena thought for a moment. "Gabriel, I don't need to show anything to anyone." "I know, but it could help other people in like problems." "Okay, but I'll talk for me, not for you." In the talk, Lorena was plain and clear. "I just did what anyone would do. I saw a child in trouble, and I helped. How did it feel to be unfairly blamed? Hurting mainly because I truly liked looking after that baby. And how was living on the streets? Difficult, very difficult, but I found amazing folks who aided me." "Have you forgiven Mr. Gabriel?" Lorena looked at Gabriel in the studio. "Pardon is a journey. It does not come quickly." "Do you plan to wed?" "No." Lorena answered strongly. "Gabriel and I don't have that kind of relationship." Gabriel was a little shy by her clear reply. The program had a great effect on online sites. Lorena got many job chances, invites for talks, even book ideas, but she said no to all. "My role is looking after Miguel." Adriana watched the program from home and grew hopeless. She aimed to protect herself on Facebook. "I was guarding the family. I felt she was unsafe." But the remarks were crushing. "You nearly caused a baby's death. Liar. I hope you never find a job again." Adriana took down her online page. No family in the rich area employed her again. She only found work as a daily helper in plain houses. The chatty neighbors also lost good name. Marcia turned into a funny point in the condo's chat group, the biased neighbor who nearly killed a baby. But not all nearby folks changed their minds. Some people still felt Gabriel was being controlled. That woman is very smart. She obtained just what she desired. Poor Gabriel. First he lost his spouse, now he's set to lose his wealth. Gabriel understood there would always be folks opposing him, but he didn't mind anymore. 6 months after the TV talk, life in the big home had found a new way of life. Miguel, now 1 year and 2 months of age, was a totally changed child, well, bright, loving. He called Lorena Mommy and Gabriel Daddy without mixing them up. Gabriel had altered his daily habits, getting home sooner from work, aiding to wash Miguel, telling him tales before sleep. "Lorena let me make him sleep this evening." "Do you know how to share tales?" "I'm learning." Lorena slowly gave up room. She saw that Gabriel truly wished to be a father who was there, but the bond between them was still tricky. "Gabriel, I must speak to you." "What is it?" "I want to legally take Miguel as her own." Gabriel was shocked. "Adopt?" "Yes, I want to be his mother-in-law." "Lorena, you're already his mother. All can see that. But not on official documents. If something happens to you, if you alter your thoughts once more, I could lose him." Gabriel understood her lack of certainty. "Okay, let's see how we can do that." The process of taking him as her own was harder than they thought. The welfare officer asked many questions. "What truly is your link?" "She looks after my son," Gabriel replied. "Are you dating, married?" "No," Lorena said firmly. "We are helpers in bringing up Miguel. And if Mr. Gabriel weds another person, Lorena will continue to be Miguel's mother," Gabriel answered without pausing. The welfare officer wrote everything down but looked puzzled by the problem. After 3 months of documents and calls, the taking him as her own was allowed. At the court session, the judge questioned, "Ms. Lorena, are you certain you wish this duty?" "I am doctor. This boy is my life." "And you, Mr. Gabriel, do you consent to share care?" "I consent." Lorena is the mom Miguel always wanted. When they exited the court with the documents, Lorena wept tears of strong feeling. "Now you're truly my child, Miguel, in writings and in my soul." Gabriel was also touched. "Now you're a real family. The 3 of us are family." Lorena set right, adding Gabriel for the first time. 3 months later, on a Sunday morning, Gabriel woke to sound in the next room. "Mommy ball." He heard Miguel talk. Gabriel went there and saw Lorena on the ground playing with Miguel, who could now step and say many words. "Daddy." Miguel saw Gabriel and rushed to him. "Hi, champ." Gabriel lifted his son. Miguel gave him a small kiss and then rushed back to Lorena. "Mommy, Daddy, here is my son. Daddy and Mommy are here." Gabriel sat on the floor with them. "It's good to wake up like this." "It is." Lorena agreed but still held a bit of space. "Lorena, are you joyful here truly?" Lorena looked at Miguel playing between them. "I'm joyful with him, quite joyful." "And with me? How do you feel about me?" Lorena took a while to reply. "Gabriel, you've turned into a finer person, more kind." "Does that mean you've pardoned me?" "It means I'm trying. Pardoning is not simple." "And do you think one day we could be, I don't know, more than just helpers in bringing up Miguel?" Lorena quit playing and gazed at him. "Gabriel, let's go gently, okay? We already have a fine family as it is." "Okay, gently." Miguel jumped into Lorena's lap. "Mommy hungry. Shall we have morning meal?" "Let's." Gabriel stood up and offered his hand to aid Lorena. For the first time in a long time, she took his hand. In the kitchen, as they made morning meal together, they seemed like a usual family. Not flawless, not without marks, but true. "Gabriel, what is it? Thank you for allowing me to be his mom. Thank you for showing me how to be a dad." Miguel tapped his spoon on the tall baby seat. "Daddy, Mommy is my son." Lorena grinned. "Your wild family." Gabriel chuckled. "Wild family, but family still." Outside, Adriana went by on the bus, going to her home cleaning work. She gazed at the big house and viewed the sight in the kitchen through the glass, Gabriel, Lorena, and Miguel having morning meal together. She moved her head side to side and kept on her path. She had lost all because of envy and falsehoods. Marcos aimed to phone Gabriel a few more times, always with fresh tales about Lorena. Gabriel never picked up again. The chatty neighbors learned not to get involved in others' lives, at least not so plainly. Inside the big house, there was a flawed calm, a family made through hurt, mistake, and pardon. Miguel was raised with much love. Gabriel came to be the dad he always ought to have been. And Lorena found a joy she felt she had lost always. It wasn't a storybook finish. There were still marks, doubt, worries, but it was a true, actual ending, and sometimes that's finer than being faultless.